Imagine, if you will, it's 1953. The Corvette hasn't even properly hit the road yet. People are still being amazed by automatic transmissions. Then, out of the shadows of the Ford design studio emerges a machine so wildly ahead of its time that it made everything else at the Chicago Auto Show look like wheelbarrows with chrome bumpers. It was called the Ford X-100, and it wasn't just a car. It was science fiction on tires. This was not a production car, not even close. No, this was Ford's answer to General Motors' Motorama, Dream Machines, a concept to show off what the future could be if you threw caution, budget, and common sense into the trash. So let me tell you all about it. Now Ford, you see, had just caught wind that GM was brewing up something mad in the design labs, a fleet of concepts built not for the street but for spectacle. Harley Earl and his dreamboats were parading around cars with panoramic windscreens and jet-age bodywork, giving Americans something to gasp at during their corn dog-fueled stroll through the auto show circuit. Ford panicked, understandably. Enter Joe Oros, the man who would one day give us the Ford Mustang. But before he shaped that particular icon, he had a job: stop GM from stealing all the future thunder. So he grabbed a team, headed over to Ford's Lincoln Design Division, and they went to work dreaming up something bolder, wilder, and shinier than anything on the Motorama tour. The resulting creation was codenamed X-100, but when Henry Ford II dropped by and saw it, he was so impressed, he reportedly blurted out something like, "That's the next Continental." And so, briefly, the X-100 became the Continental 195X. The idea was that this wasn't just a concept, it was a preview, a harbinger of the next generation of Lincoln Continentals. And from a design perspective, it had everything the era's engineers dreamed about while staring at B-52 bombers and watching Tom Corbett, Space Cadet. The rear end was fitted with exhaust jet-style taillights, stolen from a clay model by Gil Spear, another Ford visionary. And then there was the retractable clear plastic roof that slid back with the grace of a sliding glass door, as if you just unzipped the top of a spaceship. And it wasn't just a pretty face either. Underneath, it rode on a lengthened Lincoln chassis, upgraded with power brakes, power steering, and get this, a Dion style rear suspension. At the time, when most cars were bouncing around on leaf springs and hoping not to tip over in a crosswind, this thing had independent rear suspension, with a setup better suited to a Ferrari than a family car from Dearborn. The engine, a Y-block V8 with a 5 carburetor setup, not 4, 5. Who knows what engineering committee cooked up that idea, but it doesn't matter. It sounded futuristic and complicated, which was entirely the point. Now, there was just one small snag. At the 1952 Chicago Auto Show, when it came time to unveil this polished spaceship to the public, it wouldn't start. In fact, it wouldn't do anything. It had no working engine, so like a mannequin in a Prada shop, it had to be pushed onto the stage. While the crowd was dazzled by its sleek lines and flashy chrome, Lincoln buyers were having none of it. It was too radical and too jet-aged. Too much. This wasn't a car. It was an alien artifact on white-wall tires. Ford's marketing teams went off, had a quiet cry, and then pulled the plug on the idea of making it the next Continental. That torch would eventually be passed on to the 1956 Continental Mark II, which was a far more conservative machine. But Ford wasn't done with the X-100 just yet. After the Continental idea was shelved, the badges came off and the original name returned. The X-100, no longer burdened by having to appeal to wealthy dentists and senators, became something far more interesting. Ford turned it into a rolling lab, a fully functional, absurdly ambitious prototype that was less about production and more about flexing every technological muscle the company had. In 1953, for Ford's 50th anniversary, the X-100 re-emerged as the star of the show. But this time, it actually worked. And it didn't just work, it performed magic. So let's start with the roof. A clear, retractable canopy that could slide back at the press of a button. Already impressive, but here's the real party trick. It had a rain sensor. Yes, in 1953, this thing could sense the presence of rain and close the roof automatically. Then there were the hydraulic jacks. Built into the car, press a switch and the whole thing would lift itself off the ground. Getting a flat tire didn't require a jack. You just flick the switch and the car lifted itself like a Porsche dog raising its leg. The hood and trunk also power operated. Press a button and the front or rear would pop open. Next, let's talk about the windshield washer system. This was no ordinary squirter bottle of lukewarm water. No, the X-100 had temperature-controlled windshield washers. If it was cold, it sprayed hot water, and if it was warm, it sprayed cool. Because why the hell not? Step inside the spaceship, and the interior was, as you'd expect, a festival of science fiction. All 4 seats were heated, and the front ones weren't just adjustable, they were electronically adjustable with programmable presets. This was the early 50s, when the only preset in most cars was on or off, yet here was the X-100, letting you pre-select your seating position, like a modern Mercedes. There was a telephone mounted in the center console, an actual functioning telephone, and next to it a dictaphone, presumably so you could record your thoughts about flying cars and jetpacks while you were cruising the highway. And just in case you were running late to a meeting and forgot to shave, the X-100 had you covered. Tucked in the glove box was an electric shaver. Yes, you could shave while driving. By the way, when I first read this, I started laughing. People had some weird ideas of what the future would be. I mean, just imagine the meeting, rain sensing roof, automatic trunk and hood, and then this one guy just screams out from the back. You know what would be good for a futuristic concept car? An electric shaver, but inside the car. Anyways, weird side tangent over. Sometimes my mind wanders, but you have to agree. All of this futuristic stuff, and then they just put a shaver in the glove box, and that's like adding to the futuristic allure and appeal. I don't really understand why, but yeah, I thought it was funny. But let's continue. So from 1953 onwards, the X-100 traveled the world, appearing at auto shows from Detroit to Dusseldorf, where it pulled in crowds by the thousands. According to Ford historians, no other Ford show car has ever attracted as much attention as this thing. And frankly, who can blame the crowd? It made the rest of the automotive world look like they'd arrived in Amish buggies. Eventually, once the applause died down and the shows ended, Ford wheeled the X-100 into the Henry Ford Museum, where it remains to this day. You can still go and see it, looking just as mad and otherworldly as it did back then. The Ford X-100 wasn't just a car, it was a vision, a thunderous roar into the future, at a time when most people were still trying to figure out how to work their home telephone. It had features in 1953 that most people didn't see in production cars until the late 1990s. It's the kind of car that makes you ask, what the hell happened? How did we go from this daring, chrome-laden spaceship to drab grey crossover SUVs? Why, when we had a clear shot at the Jetsons, did we end up in a world of bland? The X-100 didn't change the world, but it bloody well tried. And in a way, that's even more admirable. It was a dream car in the truest sense. A car that dared to ask, what if we really went for it, and then did just that? But at the end of this video, please let me know what you guys thought of the video and what you guys think of this car. I think this is an insane piece of history. I mean, the rain sensing roof back in 1953, that's bloody insane. But let me know what you guys think down below. If you guys enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And if you guys did like this video, you'll most probably enjoy most of my other stuff. So just go through my channel, see if there's something else you like. I'll check you guys in the next one. Cheers,